Hello and welcome to the first Seismic Cinema podcast of 2024. Congratulations, you have just found the golden ticket to visit the Seismic Cinema headquarters, where every segment is as delicious as an everlasting gobstopper, apparently.
Very good. I thought you were doing away with the cheesy intros.
No, I was doing away with the old cheesy intro, like the put your feet up one, but I kept that one.
This is the new year, isn't
it? Yeah. So I'm Colin. My code name for today is Lord Bleacher, and I'm joined by James, whose username is Terms and Conditions.
Aye, how you doing? Happy New Year to all the listeners and viewers. Hope you all had a good one.
We have a special guest in Chatsunami from the Chatsunami podcast, so welcome.
Hello, good to be here. Thanks for inviting me back after last time.
Sorry for the last minute invitation. We're just getting our scheduling game on.
Oh no, that's fine. I like to think I found the golden ticket getting on tonight. So.
Oh, you stole my joke.
Well, that too. Yeah.
I think the last time, if I'm right in saying, you were on, it was the Mandalorian episode ranking.
Yeah, and I have to say, I think I've said it on Twitter before, but that is one of my favourite thumbnails that I've ever seen.
Well, that was all Paul, who's not with us this evening. So we'll see Paul next week, hopefully. So before we hear all about Chatsunami and another special announcement, it'd be great if you could give Seismic Cinema and our other podcast, Seismic Soccer, a follow on Facebook. Follow on Facebook, yeah. Follow on X, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. And you can also listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all those other stations. And we have a Buy Me a Coffee page where you can help James get a mic so he can fit in with me and Paul, the cool cats.
I was hoping for Santa Claus to bring me a microphone. I didn't get one.
I will.
Very sad about that.
You must have not been on the nice list after the Elf review.
I thought I did quite well hosting that one too, but obviously not.
Right. So will we hear a wee bit about Chatsunami and what you guys are up to at the moment?
Yeah, so as you can see by the screen, or in audio-only format as well, I suppose. Yeah, my name's Chatsunami. I run the Chatsunami podcast, which, as you can tell by the accent, is a Scottish variety podcast that discusses topics from films and gaming to anime and general interests. And honestly, see the amount of times I had to say that to myself just to be like, right, that's it. That's what I'm saying about the podcast.
Talking about Scotland, do you like my new Scotland talk?
No.
That's pretty snazzy.
Sorry, I forgot James was here. So we've also this is a very special podcast in a lot of ways. The first one of 2024, but also it's the first, or would we class this Chatsunami as the first official? Did you record with casting views before the official announcement?
No, we did record
after.
Technically. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, he doesn't need to know, he doesn't need to. As he told me in the group chat, it's like, he doesn't need to know. But yeah, we filmed the first one, not only the first Chatsunami episode of 2024, which, honest to God, makes me feel slightly older thinking about it. But yeah, it is the first episode of the PodPack Collective. But sorry, I'll pass it back to you on that one to talk about
that. You're the founding father, but I did draft a wee message there, just introducing all the different users. So there's ourselves, both of our podcasts, and there's Casting Views, who we had on for Karate Kid. Review It Yourself, who was Dodgeball, wasn't it? No, it wasn't Dodgeball. It was
Batman.
You're right, it was Batman. And he's going to come on for the next Seismic Soccer episode. 2 Girls, 1 Reusable Cup. We've not came across yet in terms of a collaboration, and neither Nerdstalgic podcast, but those can maybe be ones for the future as well.
Absolutely. And I'm glad we're not last in that list. We couldn't put ourselves last in the list, could we? But I don't know
Well,
who
it was
was
just
up on that, but it wasn't me.
it was just the way I wrote it. I said that we're alongside, so we kind of had to be first on that one. Yeah.
Of course.
Satsunami, you wanting to say? Obviously, since it's your baby, are you wanting to say a wee bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to gush about it if you want. Yeah,
When you
so
go.
so the PodPack Collective, yeah, is just a group of fantastic indie podcasters, and I'm not just saying that because you guys are on. Definitely not. But yeah, it's a group of indie podcasters that really are just coming together to spread a wee bit of positivity into the indie podcasting sphere, which I have to say, I say that, but the indie podcasting community does seem very positive and supportive as is. So I feel as if it's just like the cherry on top of that. So yeah, it's just a group of us coming together, collaborating with one another, promoting each other, supporting each other, and then yeah, hopefully we'll be able to support other podcasters that we come across. So yeah, it's exciting to see because it's just in its like literal infancy. We just had our first episode there, as you said, with myself and casting views, and yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes for all of us.
Is there plans to expand the membership moving forward?
Hopefully, yeah. I feel as if this is like I don't want to say trial run because it makes it sound like I'm kind of experimenting with podcasts and being like, yeah, we'll try. But yeah, hopefully we'll see how this goes in the future. Definitely. It'd be cool to see other podcasters come on, other shows come on. But yeah, you can't see it just now, but I'm crossing my fingers.
We might have to do an application and a vetting process.
That's true.
I was going to say as well, I think I speak for all of us here at Seismic Cinema that we're quite happy to be the guinea pigs. So
I feel like I'm constantly running around a wheel right now. So yeah, that would make sense. So we just launched our plan for January. So this is our first episode. So we're going to review the new Wonka movie that came out in December next week. So basically, myself, Paul, and James are picking a film each month from different genres. Well, we're being a wee bit creative with that at times. But next week we're going to review what's the best word to describe it? The words escape me. The polarizing Rebel Moon. That was Paul's pick for next week. And then James, you picked Predator for the week after.
Yep.
And Jacked Up Review podcast, they're quite keen to join us for that one. That's another podcast we've not had on before. And our fellow PodPack Collective, Review It Yourself, they're going to come on for our Seismic Soccer episode 4 at the end of the month. So that's just a plan for January.
Sounds like a good month, to be fair.
If it goes to plan, yeah.
I know that feeling.
Right. So as I say, when the cat's away, the mice will play. Paul's not here, so I've decided to shake it up a bit and bring back an old favourite. Not an expanded version of it, but I thought we would just for maybe one time only bring back a wee bit of what we're watching. Maybe just not go into depth, but just maybe mention a few films or shows we've watched maybe in the last couple of weeks. Ones to check out, maybe just a couple each. Since Paul's not here.
I didn't realize Paul didn't like it.
Yeah, Paul said it, or I can't remember if it was me or Paul, but one of us said it kind of slowed down the pace a wee bit, but why not?
Okay.
It's only because I've watched a few things recently that I quite enjoyed. So,
Fair enough.
Satsunami, you want to start us off?
Yeah.
Let's usually go first. Is there any movies or shows you've checked out in the last couple of weeks you think people should check out?
Well, yes and no. Like, funny you should mention about Rebel Moon because I also watched that on Netflix. And honestly, I need to have some of you guys on like Chatsunami as well to discuss it because I feel as if I need someone to talk about this one as an experience, and I don't.
I've only watched the first half hour so far.
I've not watched any of it yet.
Yeah, it is a struggle, I have to say. Not because it's all in slow motion, but I watched it once through with my partner, and I was like, "Oh, this is terrible." And then one of my friends was like, "Oh, I really want to watch Rebel Moon. Can we watch it together?" And I was like, "Okay, aye, okay." So I've watched it twice, and I can safely say I don't think it's the film for me. But yeah, the only other film I watched, and it was a bit of a weird one, was the Beanie Bubble, it was called, on Apple TV.
Oh,
It's
I
like
saw the advert
yeah,
for that a while back.
it's surprisingly entertaining, and it makes me feel old because I actually do remember, and I'm sure you guys probably remember as well, when Beanie Babies came out, and
Mm-hmm.
when they were in their height, and you're just watching this thinking, my God, people were really crazy for Beanie Babies. But
My sister had like a bedroom, like a full bedroom full of them.
glad to see they've not gone away right enough.
So worth
But
checking out then.
yeah, I would recommend it over Rebel Moon, that's for sure. If you're looking for a good film, go for
That's the.
yeah, go for that. Not Rebel
I'll
Moon.
be honest. I've only watched the first half hour, but I didn't actually mind it. It's what I watched so far. Maybe it gets worse as it goes on. I don't know, but
I mean,
um,
from what I've heard, I think it was supposed to be a Star Wars film, and then that fell through. So they were just like, "Oh, let's make it into its own thing." Which, I mean, props to them, but yeah, I'll let you judge it for the rest of the time.
yeah,
But
you'll find out in a couple of weeks' time when we release that episode. So James, what have you been? I know you've been watching Ted Lasso. You're quite enjoying it.
Before I got on to James's weekly watches, I think I've got a sore throat coming on, Colin. So I might not be able to go on next week at Rebel Moon. Going by the recommendation. All right. So I'm just kidding. I'll be there for the team.
Sorry,
James,
I didn't mean to spoil James' weekly watches. You want to save that to the end then?
no, it's fine. It's James weekly watches. So yes, I have started Ted Lasso. On season 3 now, actually. So I've just started the first episode of season 3. So quite enjoying it, actually. I didn't think it would be as good as it is. Some episodes are a bit slow. Some good character building in it. Some hilarious characters. I know you've seen it all, Colin, haven't you? So
See, in terms of Rebel Moon, be curious, not judgmental.
curious, yes. We should do a pod in Ted Lasso at some point, Colin, because
I'm up for that.
do that.
Definitely.
Also, I'm rewatching ever since the 60th and the Christmas special of Doctor Who. I kind of went back and rewatching the full series on iPlayer. So I'm currently on season 5. No, I'm season 6 now. Actually, I was in season 5, season 6 now. So quite enjoying the Matt Smith aspect of it. I didn't the first time I watched it back when it was on TV. I didn't really care for it much, but I think he's grown on me since. So that, and I watched a film on Netflix called Inside Man. It's by Clive Owen and Denzel Washington about a bank robbery. So that was better than expected. So I enjoyed them. So check them out. Unless you're not a fan of Doctor Who, then don't check that out. But definitely check out Ted Lasso and Inside Man on Netflix.
I've been trying to buy Ted Lasso box set, but they've not released any of it on DVD or Blu-ray. Yeah, I'd love to buy the complete collection, but maybe one day.
What about you, Colin? What you?
So I went to Wonka between Christmas and it was New Year's Eve or the day before, and then I went to see One Life on Saturday, the one about the evacuation from Prague during the war. And that was really good. Definitely worth seeing. Would highly recommend it. Very emotional piece. And I was saying on X that I watched Fool You Once. Is that what you call it? The one with Michelle Keegan.
Fool Me Once, is it? Is it Fool You Once?
I can't remember.
It's on the watch list anyway.
I wrote down Fool You Once, but if it's one of those shows, it's a bit far-fetched, but I quite enjoyed it actually. And I'm currently watching, off the back of One Life, I'm watching a It's a World War II documentary. I think Paul mentioned it. It's narrated by John Boyega.
Don't remember.
I've been watching that on Netflix, and I've been checking out the Percy Jackson series on Disney Plus, which is actually, I read the books when I was younger. It's actually been pretty decent. It's getting decent reviews as well.
All right.
So I don't know if any of you have followed that kind of series before.
Not me. I never came across it before. I've seen like the books and whatever, but no, none of that, man.
No, I'm
Not
the
mind-
same. No.
Not minding it myself. So
You're on your own.
right, that's all right. I'm quite happy to be on my own. It's nice it's nice and peaceful there. So right, I've termed this next mini segment the Wonka verse. Always nice to just have a wee chat about, like, have you read the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book? I think we've probably all seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. What about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? So, Chatsunami, what's your kind of background in the Wonka verse?
Well, I'm pretty sure, like, I must have read it when I was younger. I've got, the old Roald Dahl books you used to get them in primary school. I think I can see the covers just, tattered.
The wee tiny ones, thin ones.
That's the ones, yeah. They had the illustrations in them. Oh, they were so good.
Did you ever read the Twits?
Oh, aye. Yeah, the Twits is great.
Classic.
SEO Trot as well. That's so many good ones. But yeah, I remember reading it like years ago. I remember seeing the original, and funny enough, the day I actually saw this film, the original film was actually on TV, and it is like night and day, but I'm sure we'll come on to that. And I actually saw, of all things, I want to say 2005 remake, and the IMAX at the Science Centre through in Glasgow. For some reason, they were showing it off, and I have no idea why. They were just like, hey, we've got this remake. We need to fill up space in the time slots. Let's just put this on. And I always remember seeing it there. And the way it's one of those films that there's some films you see in the IMAX, you think, oh, this is great up here and everything. But then you watch this one and you're like, why was this up in the IMAX? Why is it here? So, yeah, no, I've watched like the majority, or at least the main three ones. And yeah, read the book like donkeys ago.
Is there other films?
I think that is the only three as far as I know.
Yeah, I thought that was the case as well.
Yeah, you're going to get comments now from like a Wonka head or Wonka fan saying, no, actually, the 19 whatevers.
I'm quite enjoying these phrases, the Wonka, what was it, Wonka heads and Wonka verse.
Yeah.
What about you, James? What's your kind of background in the Wonka universe?
Yeah, I'm probably the same. I don't remember reading the book, but I must have read it at school. Do you know what I mean? Probably got it from the wee kind of mobile libraries you get in primary school. Used to save up your money and go to the wee library and buy the book on a Friday afternoon, primary school. I don't know if you managed that, Colin, if I came to your school or no, but
yes, we had that as well. Thank you.
So I've read the book. I must have done. Can't remember reading it, but it's one of those things. It's you grow up, there's certain books you do read, isn't there? And that's got to be one of them. In terms of the films, the film came out before I was born. I'm not might surprise some of you.
Shock horror.
So yeah, the first film's obviously amazing, brilliant. Watched it in telly and that, and then I went to see the one with Johnny Depp in the pictures for my sins. I think enough said about that, the better. But certainly this film, I don't think they might have contrasting views. Certainly not as good as the original, but certainly has good aspects to the film. But yeah, so it's quite looking forward to kind of talk about it.
Yep. Very quickly then, before we do that, yeah, I read the book. It always confused me why the book was called Charlie Chocolate. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but the movie was called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Is any of you any idea why that is? Or is it just a thing? They just decided to.
th- Not really, but the funny thing about see the way they've named the films, and it wasn't until someone pointed this out in the review, is how although the first film is mainly, about Charlie going to the chocolate factory and everything, they call it Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory, I'm sure. But in the remake with Johnny Depp, they call it Charlie in the chocolate factory, but then they focus more on Willy Wonka. And I think they just kind of cut the losses here and just went, right, Wonka. It's one name, like Madonna.
Yeah.
Just
They probably wanted, with Gene Wilder in it, they wanted to highlight him, but then
Yeah.
they didn't. They couldn't have the same title for the Johnny Depp one, so they obviously just flipped it.
Yeah.
I have never seen the Johnny Depp one.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what everyone's saying, but I've got this kind of morbid curiosity about it now that I really want to see it, just to see what it's like.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing out there, but I mean, in terms of Wonka content, if that's even a term, yeah, probably down there. Yeah.
Oh well, we can save that for the ranking then. So let's get right into the film. So we tend to just give not like a linear overview, just kind of talking about different aspects of the film, things we like, things we didn't like, and a kind of overall view at the end. So Chatsunami, you want to kick us off with some of your kind of initial overviews of the film?
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised at how much I enjoyed this film because, to be honest, when I heard about it, I saw the trailers and everything, I was like, who was asking for this? I don't know if you guys felt the same, but yeah, you kind of look at it, you think, who's asking for like a Wonka origin film? But it was my brother, of all people, who was like, oh, this looks actually quite good. And I thought, okay, I'll go along and we'll see it together. And I definitely, overall, I definitely enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I was a wee bit thrown off at the beginning, right enough, when they started singing. And don't get me wrong, I love a musical as much as the next person, but I was just kind of like, oh, this is a singing film. And some of the songs were better than others, that's all I'll say. But yeah, no, overall, I thought it was pretty solid, surprisingly.
I was a bit confused because I'm sure James also said he forgot it was a musical, but to me, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory had loads of musical numbers, so it wasn't. I wasn't surprised by the presence of the music in the film, to be honest.
Yeah, I think maybe because it wasn't sung by Oompa Loompas. There was like one song by an Oompa Loompa, and the rest was just by like Wonka and random people on the street accosted them with a song, and you're like, oh, okay.
I'm sure we'll talk plenty about the solitary Oompa Loompa as we progress.
I also had low expectations in this film. Don't ask me why I forgot it was a musical. I've got no idea because I've seen the other films, and when I sat in the cinema and heard the song, I just sighed because I'm not a fan of musicals, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe I need to sit through this, and I was pleasantly surprised. So I actually left the cinema, quite happy that it was a decent film, without giving too much away. But I don't know why I forgot it was a musical, but I enjoyed it. I thought we'll go into the characters shortly with the cast and whatever, but I thought the characters and the actors were pretty solid, man. I thought they done a really good job.
I just you're right in saying that. I came out of the cinema in like a really good mood. Like I think it generally was my favorite film I've seen in the cinema this year, just in terms of the cinematic experience. It did put you on a kind of right high for the rest of the day. A bit of a hot take, but just in terms of like experience at the cinema this year, just like I just from the start to the end, I just had a really good time with it.
Yeah, like I was saying, I went with the school, and the people really enjoyed it. So it's quite emotional. There's parts in the film that's quite emotional with the connection between different people, which I go into. But it was fairly well received, I'd say.
Yeah. So Chatsunami, talking about characters, was there any particular characters that stood out to you?
I have to say the Chocolate Cartel were probably the highlight just purely because of the ridiculousness of it, but at the same time, just how hilarious it was. The fact that they were just willing to commit all these, terrible acts for a chocolate shop. I can't imagine, Thornton's opening up and then trying to muscle in all the smaller chocolate shops. Well, that's probably going to date the episode. Apologies, because they're no longer around. But, I couldn't think of a chocolate shop off the top of my head that's still open. But
That's
yeah,
the only one I can think of as well.
yeah. I know, it's depressing. But yeah, no, I thought there wasn't really any actor that I thought did a bad job. Like, I thought everyone was on really good form. If I was kind of nitpicking, maybe the main actor for Wonka, is it Timothy Chalamet, or he was okay. I didn't think he was the worst. I didn't think he was terrible or unbearable, but there were some elements of his character that were maybe a bit not as strong, and I know we'll get into the negatives later, but no, overall, I thought everybody was really on their A game, although I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there was a lot of horrible history actors. Did you notice in this film?
No.
No, I've got no idea about horror history, so I wouldn't be.
No.
I wouldn't be the one to point that out.
Who were they then?
Oh, that's a good question. There was a random one of the security guards, I think. The one who's on the phone and then to the zoo. He's a guard at the zoo.
Aye.
That was one of them. One of the chocolate cartel members. He was another one. There was a random. Remember the woman who was getting married on the street, or gotten proposed to, or something like that, or confessed to. I can't even remember now. But yeah, she was one of them as well. There was quite a few of them. I was just kind of like, oh, it's just a downright reunion of these actors. Just yeah.
It was a pretty good cast, though, wasn't it? Because you had Olivia Colman, who's a kind of A-list, or would you class her as an A-lister? At least a B. She's pretty.
She's got an Oscar, doesn't she?
A-list then. We'll go for that. I just think of her as Doris from Hot Fuzz.
Aye.
And the Queen, which is a random combination from The Crown. And you had Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa as well.
See, I didn't know he was in that film at all, and then when I seen him, I was totally surprised. So I was like, "Oh, that's Hugh Grant."
It was good. What did you make of the size of the Oompa Loompa? At the first, I thought it was a mistake, but then they obviously clarified that later in the film. What did you make of him being a wee tiny, extra tiny Oompa Loompa?
Just going to say, they seem to be making the Oompa Loompa smaller and smaller, don't they?
But they did say that he was particularly short for an Oompa Loompa. They said it kind of later in the film.
Ah, true.
I just thought it was maybe. I thought he had a big head and a kind of wee body. It's quite disproportionate. So I don't know, man. I just found it odd initially, but I felt myself actually going through the film, kind of waiting for the Oompa Loompa to come back. I thought his scenes were really good, so I didn't really mind it at the end, to be honest with you. But big kid and wee body, certainly. I was like, oh, was that meant to be that way? But obviously, smaller than usual.
It's cool when you get to see where they come from as well, don't you? The wee island. What was the reason that he get chucked out? Was it knock something over or something? I can't remember.
Did he not fall asleep and he let Willy Wonka steal the loco?
That was it, yeah.
And he was hunted off the island to try and track him down.
I like the way they set up how the Oompa Loompas worked with Willy Wonka in the future. I thought the fact he saved his life at the end, spoilers, was quite good as well.
Aye, that was nice. So again, that's been kind of the end of the film was quite, emotional in different ways because obviously it's an origin story, isn't it? So you get to see how he began just as a chocolatier and then kind of moved in, and then you see at the end of the film you seen what his kind of empire is going to be like. So that was a nice touch.
Yeah. I actually disagree, Satsunami, just on Wonka himself. Like I liked the way he was portrayed. Like I thought he captured a lot of the kind of mannerisms really well. I don't think, because somebody commented on Twitter about this. I didn't really show, because obviously Willy Wonka in the original is quite a kind of dark character with the scene on the boat, and then the like his lack of care for the children potentially dying. Obviously, that's rectified at the end, but it didn't really show that kind of descent into madness, essentially. But I really personally quite enjoyed the performance that he gave as well.
I think it's just like, I mean, he did quite well, but I think the main thing that detracted for me was, see, when, and this is going to make me sound so heartless, so apologies in advance, but see the whole subplot that he was trying to prove it to his mother or something, that he was going to, start this chocolate shop, he was going to make it big and everything. I don't know, I feel as if they could have done without that. And that, and the fact that they kind of spoiled, and this is a spoiler on top of a spoiler, but they spoiled the reveal at the end where he basically sees the Force ghost of his mum just chumming in the background, waving to him. And I was like, all right, so she's not appearing here, she's not appearing here. Ah, there she is, like at the very end. But in all the trailers, she just pops up like a Jack in the Box. You're like, oh, right, okay, so that is going to happen. I don't know, like, it was still sweet, like they needed to give him a reason to go into the big city, and it's the whole rags to riches thing. Like, I get that. But I don't know, I felt as if it was one of the weaker parts of the film. But no, I didn't think he did too bad. But what I will say is, I didn't think he was the strongest singer out of all of them. I don't think he was bad by any means, but he's a hell of a lot better than I'll ever be right now. But nah, he was okay. I thought,
Who did you think was the best singer then?
oh, good question, actually.
I can't remember individual singers, but there was a lot of good singing going on in the laundry shoot.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was good. Mm-hmm.
So James, what did you make of the whole plot? How he's looking for a place to stay, and then he gets like trapped into like a contract and has to like do cleaning and for like work off his debt. What did you make of that whole angle?
I quite liked it actually. Like before he gets to the, is it a, where did he go to again? It was like a hotel, was it a hotel as such, was it? It was kind of like that. I can't remember now. But obviously he gets kind of groomed, a better word, to come back to this this hotel. And obviously my name is the T's and C's, and he was told to read the T's and C's, but obviously it turns out that he was unable to read. He can't. So you kind of felt sorry for him that way. The whole idea of him working his debt off is nice. Not that I wanted him to work his debt off, but I mean in terms of him kind of building relationships within that, and you get to see the different characters in there. You've seen like an accountant in there as well, and he's having to, why would the accountant need to stay there? Really, you find out about these characters. So it was quite nice that way. Horrible people though. Olivia Colman. I can't remember her name in the film now. Tom Davis is the other Bleacher. You've got them there.
True,
yeah, horrible people. But I think that whole kind of sequence in that area where you've seen it's kind of they were kind of planning the jailbreak, if you like, to get out, and they were kind of setting up Olivia Colman and Bleacher together, and you can see that that's the scene with Bleacher putting on the Lederhosen and all that sort of stuff. Lederhosen. That was funny. And he did that. The dialogue between those two were good. I don't want to say too much now, because I think we can expand on so much later on. But I really enjoyed that. like I say, the whole film took me by surprise. Like, you know what I mean? So, there's very
James
few.
likes musicals. James likes musicals.
Well, if we're going with this film, then I suppose. But
It's Mrs.
Nah.
Scrubbit, James.
Yes,
That was her character's name.
Scrubbit. Aye.
I'm using my new Spider-Man phone holder to search IMDb.
Very nice.
Chatsunami, what did you make of? It was Noodle, wasn't it? The girl that was trying to kind of warn him to read the terms and conditions. What did you make of their dynamic and the story there?
Yeah, I thought it was a nice dynamic. It kind of reminded me a lot of, I don't even know what the genre is, but like kind of 80s, 90s films with, similar themes where it's like someone trying to make it big and everything. And yeah, no, I did like it, but again, and this is going to make me sound like a heartless you know what, but I felt as if kind of by the end, it was like, obviously you were rooting for Wonka and everything, and obviously you kind of need that child character to see the world, or rather his world, through her eyes and everything, and it was really interesting that way. But on the other hand, by the time you got to the end, she had her character arc resolved and everything, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, like, cool beans. And then that was it. She just kind of buggered off, and you're like, oh, okay. I thought she was good, like acting wise and everything. She was a good character, but again, it was like, did they really need like a? Well, then again, it did tie into the her being related. And again, big spoilers, apologies. Her being related to a certain other character, but yeah, no. Otherwise, I thought she was good.
That moment at the end where she meets her mum for the first time, I thought that was quite hard hitting, but nice as well.
Mm-hmm.
Did you cry,
The
Colin?
whole wee bit. I didn't cry, but I felt the got me in the feels,
Oh, aye.
But the very last bit. Can we talk about the very end? Does it really matter? We're not really going linear.
Time away, me.
So when you start to see the chocolate factory from the original start coming to life, and then they finally wait to sing the song, which has been stuck in my head for weeks now. What's it actually called? Is it just called, the one about imagination, the absolute classic, the belter? What's the actual name of the song? Is it just called Imagination? Or
Why don't you sing it to us, Colin? So
no, Pure Imagination.
Yes, right,
No, we'll fall into copyright. But literally, anytime I'm doing anything in the house or at work, I've literally been singing that song for like 3 weeks now. It's becoming a bit of a problem, to be honest. But I was very emotional when that song was played. What I was going to say before I got sidetracked was, I thought this was like nostalgic movie done well. I think like the touches were quite, maybe not subtle, but they were nicely done. I don't think it. I think you could watch this without having seen the original and still enjoy it. But I think me personally, being a big fan of the original, I having to wait to the very end to hear that song was good. I thought, because they easily could have put that near the start just to try and grab people. But I quite like that they waited to the end to bring that in. I don't know what you guys thought about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I thought it was really well done that they saved it to the end, because it is quite. It's like a common thing, isn't it, nowadays, when there's remakes or origin stories or things like that? They always try to get the nostalgia in as early as possible. And don't get me wrong, they did have certain elements, but I didn't feel as if they really had a lot of that in this film until, as you said, like the kind of middle, and especially for this song at the very end. So yeah, it definitely paid off in that regard.
I think that's a good time to talk about the kind of throwbacks, the kind of Easter eggs, because there was quite a few. James, was there any particular Easter eggs or chocolate bars you spotted from the original? Not the actual chocolate bar, but like, that was just a joke.
I can't. I'm going to lie here. No.
Your username is an Easter egg.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's one. But in terms of other ones, that's I can't remember off the top of my head, man.
Well, for anyone who's not sure, obviously the terms and conditions one was at the start of Willy Wonka when they have to all look at the really small print and it's absolutely tiny. That's obviously where he got that idea from. Chatsunami, was there anything you spotted in that kind of vein?
Other than the T's and C's, nothing that I could really see. Unless there was like a hidden Easter egg where it was like Grandpa Joe in the background.
No, it wasn't
As
that.
a-
The other one I remember was the flashback with his mum when he's on the boat.
Mhm.
That I feel is why he ended up having a boat in his factory. Remember the boat they go on in the original?
Yeah. That's actually a good point. Yeah.
I thought that was probably a bit of a kind of throwback as well. I'm sure there was.
I did read one of is it Timothy? What's his name again? Chalamet.
Yeah.
He did
I've been
say
saying something
that
completely different.
he did say that he did try and recreate some of the Johnny Depp and Gene Wilder. I say Gene Hackman there, Gene Wilder. So when I got written down his interview, he said that coming down the stairs,
Aye.
that was one of them. So he imitated that. The Johnny Depp one I didn't get, but he did say in the interview that he did try to incorporate both of those Wonkas into his.
I suppose there's also him not being able to read very well because that kind of plays into the end of Willy Wonka.
Aye.
Remember when they got up to his kind of office, like the last 10 minutes? I'm sure there's a bit in there where he can't read particularly well. Could be wrong.
Can't remember.
There was another one. Well, him obviously using a cane when he's younger as well explains why he can do that magnificent forward roll.
Just reading there as well. He does the scratch that, reverse it.
Yeah.
So he does that as well as Wilder.
Nice. James, I kind of let you off the hook there at the start, so you've obviously mentioned a few there. So did you maybe have a couple of seismic statements up your sleeve?
I was hoping this didn't come up. Thanks. I was just going some stuff I've written down about just about general about the film, which should have been done at the start, Colin. Just kind of saying that it was directed by Wonka 2023, musical fantasy film directed by Paul King, who also, and I've not seen these films by the way, Paddington. I don't know if you guys have seen Paddington.
I've added it to my watch list on Netflix because I've heard they're really good.
Oh, they are.
They're amazing.
And also the second one has Hugh Grant in it as well. Fun fact. Not playing the same character, mind you, but
does Hugh Grant do a thing at the end of that film as well? And then he did one at the end of this film. I had read that.
Yeah.
So Wonka 2023's origin story of Willy Wonka in the early days as a chocolatier. It's based on Roald Dahl's Charlie Chocolate Factory.
That would have been good at the start.
Well, this is not a plug for me to host every episode, by the way. So I was just saying that the cast was Timothy Chalamet, Oliver Coleman, Tom Davis, Matt Lucas, Hugh Grant, and the guy with a very cool first name, Patterson Joseph.
Nice.
So some of the kind of one I managed to get, and I actually watched this. It was a Hugh Grant interview, and apparently Hugh Grant doesn't like this film.
What?
Really?
Wow. Yeah. It was actually him. Like he was being interviewed. He said he hates it.
So delightful.
So I don't know if because it's the way he's portrayed. I don't know, man.
As an Oompa Loompa. I'm
know,
sure he
man.
knew that going in.
Well, you get paid handsomely for it, no doubt. So I don't know what he's complaining about.
What did he get paid in? Stolen beans.
Maybe. Or you get paid in chocolate, like the police chief.
He was brilliant.
Oh, aye.
We need to talk about one of those scenes actually.
Aye, I've got it written down actually. So we could have done that at the start, Colin. So apologies. I should have intervened and said, but
You should
you're
have.
on,
Yeah.
you're on a roll, mate. So I didn't want to interrupt you. Do you know what I mean? I'm being a good student here. Well, we talked about the police chief then, since we mentioned him.
Yeah, he was fun.
I thought I recognised him from something.
I recognised him as well, but I wasn't actually sure why I recognised him. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts.
Well, I thought I recognised him when I went home and I looked him up, and it wasn't who I thought it was. And annoyingly, I don't know who I thought it was, which I don't know.
What was the actor's name? Keegan Michael Key.
I thought it was like on Saturday Night Live or something like that.
I think is he not part of that Key and Peele? That duo?
Oh, yeah. Jordan Peele. That's probably where you know him from. He's in Super Mario Bros.
I've seen it.
Me neither. Actually, I have.
No, I'm looking at his filmography just now, and I don't know him at all. So I've
Role
also
models. Due date, some of those kind of 2000s comedies. Horrible Bosses 2. Vacation. Actually, has been in quite a few of those kind of comedy movies. He's also the voice of Ducky in Toy Story 4. There you go.
Anyway, we'll start going through his whole filmography. I thought he was good. My favourite scene was when you could see that he was getting increasingly bigger as every scene came on. So my bit was at the end when he's trying to get out the car and he can't. So that was it kind of built itself up to that point, which is was funny. But he had loads of different bits through the film. So I don't know what you different funny bits about him.
I'll let our guest go first.
Yeah, just for him or just in general? So
just with him.
Just for him. Yeah. I have to say, like, his musical numbers and things were quite good when he was trying to push back the bribes. And I have to say, I did love his reaction when he was like, no, that's too little. I have to uphold the law. It's like, what about this? No. What about this? Honestly, see if they'd switched the roles with that and the guy from Les Mis. Like, I'm pretty sure he would have been like, yeah, maybe for a couple of bars of chocolate. But no, I thought he did do a really good job. And he was like comedic enough, you know, he wasn't like too over, well, he was over the top, but not in a way you kind of rolled your eyes, like you were happy that it was on screen, if you know what I mean. It's like you weren't thinking, oh god, here he comes again. But no, he had so many good moments in the film.
I'm glad you guys didn't mention my favorite part. It's when he's dunking him under the water to like threaten him.
No,
and he keeps I can't hear you. And then he finally realizes, like the third time he does it, why he can't hear him. That was a good moment. Yeah, I quite enjoyed all the shenanigans to escape, essentially, like sneaking him out in the car, and then the scene where they're all at their windows and they all reveal like an accountant, and then the girl who doesn't speak is like, oh, I just didn't have anything to say. Like, I quite liked all that kind of stuff. I also love that I've got like a small selection of DVDs in my classroom at school that I can class as a business movie. Things like The Internship and The Founder. I'm adding Wonka to the list. This movie is all about entrepreneurship. It's all about competition. Mm-hmm. Definitely can add it to my business management collection.
You have to agree with you there. Get the DVDs out for Christmas and put it in your curriculum.
That's definitely a perfect one.
Oh,
teaching about competition policy, cartels.
Mm-hmm.
Sorted.
I've got it written down here as well. The scene with the window and they're conjuring up the plan and you know how to escape and what they're good at, and then you hear the lady who doesn't speak, and she works for the telephone company, doesn't she?
Mm.
So they've all got to quote Liam Neeson, particular set of skills or specific set of skills. Easy for me to say. So that's quite good that way. You find out what they're all doing, their plan to escape. So I've written that down. That was a very good bit actually. Because they're like opening shut the window and like going to be quiet and whatever. So that was nice. Aye.
I'd like to clear up just I think I've got a misconception about the original film. Do you know how like he's acting like he doesn't care that the children are potentially going to die? Was it that they weren't actually going to die? That's why he wasn't worried, or what actually happened to the children at the end of the original? Can you remember, or is it left quite like unsure?
Well, I suppose they can't arrest them when they're in space in a glass elevator, so you can't extradite someone in a glass elevator, apparently.
But did they clear it up whether they were okay and it was always going to be okay, or was it just kind of left open ended?
I think there's a throwaway line, I'm sure, where he says, "Oh, if you go down to this hall, they'll fix them and everything." But the funny thing is, they never really show you the kids again at the end of the film, so it could have been very well been lying at that. But in the, I think 2000, the Johnny Depp remake, they purposely like show you the kids to make sure that, oh yeah, they're alive. By the way, they're here. That's fine.
Because it's quite a dark film, really, the original, isn't it? In a lot of ways.
Oh yeah.
The glass elevator's in the deck one as well, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Pretty sure it is. I need to go back. Well, no, I'm not going to read back watch it. No.
I did actually watch. I watched Willy Wonka over the festive period. I tweeted about it actually. How to me it's like a kind of cozy festive classic. So enjoyed checking that one out. There's something else I was going to mention. I'll come back to me at the end. Is there any kind of reaching the end of the pod really? Is there anything else you want to highlight? Any themes or favorite parts or anything like that?
I was just going to mention. I don't know if I think he said they didn't like the scenes with the mum. But I think I did enjoy them. I do agree that at times it kind of seemed forced a little bit, but the scene at the end was nice because when you got the chocolate bar and you had that wee message inside it, kind of set the tone, doesn't it, for the golden ticket? Yeah. So that was nice. I liked that.
Because they wanted to share it with the world. That's why I invited them to the factory.
So I do like that part. Yeah, it was nice. Just I thought I'd mention that. I don't know. I'll go with you guys first of all. You kind of final thoughts and things, and I'll go last if that's all right.
Guess goes first.
Yeah. As I said at the beginning, I genuinely was so surprised at how much, or rather how good this film was overall. Like, I went in expecting it to be very run-of-the-mill, quite lazy and everything. And as I said, there's some moments that I thought maybe they could have done better. But at the same time, like, with the mum character, as I said, like, I thought in some bits it was like, oh, it's quite forced the way they were putting it in at times. But other times, it was really well done. But it's just kind of a shame that, as I said, they kind of spoiled it in the trailer. And they're like, oh, I'm doing it for you, Mum. And Mum's giving the thumbs up in the trailer. And you're like, well, it spoiled the big reveal. You know, like there's, in fact, I shouldn't really spoil these other films, but there's a couple other films off the top of my head where I think if I got that spoiled for me in the trailer, I would have been so annoyed because it kind of took away a wee bit. Like, not overly. Like, I think it still had that emotional core and everything. But yeah, overall, I was just really, really surprised at how well the film was done. I have to admit, I did like I was in two minds about it initially, but I did like the aesthetic of the film. I did like the sets and everything. I thought the contrast between like the very grand kind of market area that the cartel was running in versus the, dingy back streets of the place. I thought that was like really well done. But at the same time, if you think of this as like a direct prequel to, which I don't think it is meant to be like a direct prequel to the first one, because they made it a lot more whimsical, but if it was, then I think, good lord, what happened to that town where it just got so industrial and great. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with that town.
Well, there's quite an age gap between Timothy and Gene Wilder at the time, so I just remembered another Easter egg. You know how like Willy Wonka's got a certain amount of money at the start, and he keeps buying things and giving it away. When he drops it in the gutter, I'm sure I watched a review somewhere where that's like what happened to Charlie. Like he found money did not find money in like a drain, and that's what he bought the chocolate bar with that he got the ticket for, or something like that. It was some kind of connection.
Can't remember. Sorry.
So yeah, if anyone knows what bit I'm talking about, jump in. And there's two other scenes or three other bits I wanted to mention, not in detail, but just I liked how they used the kind of not potholes, like what do you call them?
Sewers.
The sewers, yeah, that's better. They used the sewers. I thought that was quite clever. A clever kind of workaround. And there's a scene where he uses like a version of not the everlasting gobstoppers, the ones that make you fly. The crowd, and the bit where they poison all the customers and they're all turning like different colors and stuff. I thought those two scenes were quite memorable as well. So that was just another couple of scenes that came to mind late on.
No, I agree. I think the special effects surrounding all that were amazing. The scene when like you were saying there, they're all flying, the cartel's flying in the air and that, and when in the actual chocolate shop, they're all getting poisoned. That whole visualization was brilliant. It would totally wasted me though, because I don't like chocolate, so I wouldn't be in there.
Chocolate?
No, I don't eat white chocolate, and even then, it's I know I get that reaction quite a lot, to be honest.
I eat too much chocolate. It's my weakness.
So the special effects were excellent throughout, man. So I was quite happy with that. So I agree with you.
Nice. Will we do the seismic stars then? Gets even cringier every time we say it.
I was going to mention something else. I just can't remember now. What stuff I've written down here?
I've had that a lot tonight. I think it's just getting rid of the rust after the winter break.
Aye. I'll come back to me, man. Probably after the podcast.
That's the phrase of the night. So, Chatsunami, we always do our seismic stars at the end. So we give the film a rating out of 10, but we always stress we're not ranking this against like your favorite or best film of all time. It's just on this movie as a standalone movie. What would you give it out of 10, if that makes sense? You're not comparing it to the Oscar winners, but just what was your rating out of 10?
Ooh, bringing out the controversial takes at the very end. Yeah, I would probably say between a 7 or 8.
7.5. You can go points.
Okay, I'll go for 7.5 then. Like, I have to say, like, maybe it's just because I went into this film expecting it to be like a 4 or a 5 or something really hokey or over the top, but yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I didn't think, again, there was some moments that I thought, I don't know if that worked, I don't know if this worked, but yeah, no, I would say about 7.5.
That's fair. Do you think Paul King's carving a wee niche for himself as like the kind of whimsical guy? I've not seen Paddington yet, but I'm looking forward to watching it. But that and Wonka, he seems to be good at those kind of feel-good films. What were you, James?
Well, before I give my seismic star, I've realised what I wanted to say. If you don't mind me jumping in here. It's probably one of my favourite scenes anyway. is where he gets the Oompa Loompa in the jar, and then takes him out the jar, and Hugh Grant goes, "Can you pass me that frying pan for a wee second?" and he just gives him it, and he wallets him over the head with it. So that was funny. Everybody can see what's going to happen here. Do you know what I mean? And he still gives him the frying pan. So even though I knew it's coming, it's still funny. Sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say there's a lot of good moments with the Oompa Loompa.
My seismic star will be 7 out of 10. It was a good film, man. I laughed better than expected. Even if I forgot it was a musical.
Literally in the movie. See, when you described the movie, you said it was a musical. Whatever.
Yeah, but I didn't read the synopsis blurb before I went to the cinema.
Why not?
Because I was chaperoning. That's why. It was a pretty solid movie. I quite enjoyed it, man. It was so 7 out of 10 for me, man.
Where did it lose the 3 points then?
I don't know, man. It's like, even though I thought the actors were pretty strong throughout, I just feel maybe, I don't know. I know I'm being pretty harsh here, giving it a 7 out of 10 and not really giving it much critique in a negative.
I do this to James every single time he gives a score. What's wrong with it?
Should just give every film 10 out of 10 and just say, it's brilliant. Nah, it's not, but 7 out of 10. Okay, mate. That's it. 7 out of 10. Enough said.
I don't want to go now.
Yeah, so go. Your turn. What's your seismic star?
I'm giving it a 10. As we say, we're not relating it to other films. It's just purely on your experience in the cinema. I went in, was looking forward to it. Been wanting to see it for a few weeks actually, but I just had a great time. I just loved the songs, the nostalgia, the jokes, the performances, and there probably was things wrong with it, but I just get kind of caught up in the pure imagination of it all, and I had a good time.
Hey.
Yeah, so that's what
To be
it is.
fair, you were singing the songs weeks after the film. Do you know what I mean?
I still am. I'm just like literally wondering about the school just singing that song. Pretty brutal. Yeah, so I'm happy giving it with that. As I said, it was my favourite trip to the cinema this year, just in terms of coming out in that really good mood. So what I've got, just before we finish up, I've got quite a lot of tweets. So the most recent tweet we put out, like actually asking for people's opinions for the podcast, got 1 reply. However, when I went to see it, I posted about it and we got like 30 replies. It's funny how that works when you're actually trying to get the replies. So just give a few shout outs to some fellow followers or friends on X. So Brian B. Ward Howard, who collabed with us for Elf, said, I thought it was a good film. I enjoyed it more than I anticipated, which seems to be a bit of a recurring theme. James Patterson.
Who's he?
I totally forgot it was a musical. Don't ask, but I enjoyed it better than I thought I would. So yes, a future pod for sure. Well, you were proven right. And another fellow, Chatsunami. I actually enjoyed it far more than I thought I would.
He sounds like a good guy, that Chatsunami.
Granted, I was disarmed by the fact it was a musical at moments, just like James, but overall, I had a lot of fun with it. And then, I think I've cut off the... No, I have. David Pierce Music Review says, just fantastic. I started this year by watching the original, and then I've accidentally cut off the bottom of that tweet on my phone, so we'll move on. Chatsunami says, oh no, I took screenshots on it. Chatsunami says, oh no, I love them. I just didn't expect to start singing. That's him talking about musicals. He thought Timothy was probably not as strong as the others. That's a big giveaway for the podcast. We need to delete that one. He also says the Chocolate Cartel had some bops. Oh, I found the bottom of David Pierce. I found the bottom of David Pierce's tweet. He says they went to a Q&A at the end of January and he saw Wonka with his grown-up children. They enjoyed it. truly magical film. I would agree. 2 idiots and a dog. I thought it was Paul for a second, but that'd be one idiot, 2 dogs.
Oh, wait till he hears this one, Mac.
Still haven't seen it. I have a question. Does it acknowledge or at least allude to the fact that Wonka is frankly evil? Well, we spoke about that. It doesn't really, to be honest. Podtastic Audio says, after watching it, I had a craving for chocolate candy bars. Well, I have that every day. Tegan Cozina says it was great, exceeded their expectations. Mark likes movies, thought it was nice and wholesome. He gave it a B. I won't say anything about that. Good old-fashioned family film. Sweet Bay loved it. Anthea loved it. Perfect for the holidays. Marvel Fangirl 4014 put a gift saying no thank you. So I'd love to hear why that was the case. Yeah, and that was it. So quite a lot of replies. That, as I said, that wasn't the actual podcast replies post. That was just when I posted that I watched it. So I think in future we do that instead of the other one.
Yeah. No, everybody's entitled to their opinion, you know. I think it's good to have a different variety of views. So, also want to say to you, by the way, Colin, that the last pod that we did do was Elf with B-Word. You also gave that film a 10 out of 10. So you're starting to become a 10 out of 10.
No, you're forgetting the caveat. We're rating that film on its individual merits. So this was a Wonka prequel. That was a fun Christmas film. Did the job. Ticked the box.
Well, I'll tell you something. Given the review that Satsui gave Rebel Moon, if you give that 10 out of 10, then we're having words.
I'll give it a 9 then.
9.5.
Yes. So Chatsunami, thank you so much for. I know you've got a very busy. You've really booked yourself up podcast wise. I don't know how you do it.
Me neither, to be honest.
We appreciate you coming on at relatively short notice and joining us and putting up with me dropping my phone on top of the laptop and almost ruining the podcast. So yeah, it's nice to have you on again.
Oh no, thank you again for inviting me on. It's been a blast. Yeah.
People keep saying that.
What a blast.
Thanks very much, man.
That was a blast. You want to, just at the tail end, give Chatsunami a wee shout out, including any upcoming episodes you've got on the horizon?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, if you want to check out more of my content, then you can check us out at our website, chatsunami.com. And if you want to check out more stuff from the PodPack Collective, if you check out our X page, PodPack Collect, because turns out PodPack Collective was too long for the Twitter handle. Fun fact. And yeah, hoping to get a lot more collaboration episodes done, especially with you guys as well. And I'm just looking at the screen, all the lovely people there all listed. Casting Views, Review It Yourself, Two Girls, One Reusable Cup, Nostalgic, and, well, for the sake of the audio, yourselves, Seismic Cinema, because I didn't say your name at the start. Apologies. But yeah, we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up, including a Pokemon month in February. So yeah, be on the lookout for that.
Are you reviewing the Pokemon movie?
Well, we've actually filmed, or rather recorded, all episodes for February for Pokemon month, including including a commentary track for the Pokemon film. So I'm excited to hear what people think of it.
I might have to. I remember seeing that as a kid. I might need to rewatch that in the build up.
It's an interesting one for sure. Yeah.
I have never seen Pokemon in my life.
What? Even the show?
No, never seen it.
Really? Well,
a big gap.
One of my mates who I was going to do my pod with, remember Colin, back in the day? He
poached you, we tapped you up.
He did. I'm pretty sure you guys might have done it as well. Was it Pokemon Go? Was it? You had it on your phone. You had to go and find Pokemon. He was obsessed with that. So it was. So that's just not a show that I was ever introduced to or anything.
It's all on Netflix, by the way. You could binge it.
It's on where?
It's all on Netflix, I'm pretty sure.
Alright, I might put it in somebody's shelf then.
Somebody should. Yep. Okay, so just a reminder, we are Seismic Cinema. We also have our Seismic Soccer episodes. So this was a review of Wonka. Next week we are reviewing Rebel Moon, followed by Predator and Seismic Soccer 4. So make sure you give us a wee like and subscribe. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Pods, Facebook, X, Instagram, all those other places. And yeah, I think that's us from today. So thank you all for listening. Thank you, Chatsunami, for coming on. Right, guys, thanks again. See you next time.
Cheers. Right, cheers.